What's up, Lions Nation? And if you're just joining us, buckle up because the information I'm about to share with you in the next few minutes could completely change how you view our upcoming game. We've got breaking updates coming straight out of Allen Park that you absolutely need to hear. And trust me, by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why this week's preparation is unlike anything we've seen this season. Welcome to Lions News Fan Report, your home for the fastest update, the deepest analysis, and all the rumors surrounding our beloved Detroit Lions. I'm bringing you the inside scoop on what's happening with our roster right now. And some of these developments are going to surprise you. So stick with me through every second of this, because what I'm about to reveal affects our defense in ways that could define our entire playoff. Push dot. Let me set the stage for you. Wednesday came and went at the Lions practice facility. But here's the thing. The team didn't actually hit the field for a full practice session. Instead, they ran through a walkthrough, which means we're dealing with estimated injury reports rather than concrete participation data. Now, I know what you're thinking. Estimated reports can sometimes be misleading. But what came out of Allen Park today tells us a very specific story about where this team stands heading into a crucial stretch of the season. And when I break down these numbers for you, when I connect the dots between what head coach Dan Campbell said and what we're seeing on that injury report, you're going to realize just how critical this week is for the defensive unit. The estimated practice report dropped, and it was lengthy, which immediately caught my attention. 5 players were listed as non-participants, and when you see the names on that list, you start to understand the magnitude of what the coaching staff is dealing with. We're talking about key contributors, starters, guys who have been absolutely instrumental in our success this season. The defensive side of the ball, in particular, has some question marks that need to be addressed, and the offensive line depth is being tested once again. But before I dive into the specifics, I want you to understand something important. Coach Campbell's tone when addressing these injuries was measured, calculated, and dare I say optimistic in certain areas. That tells me something significant about how the organization views the severity of these situations. Let's talk about that non-participation list because it reads like a who's who of impact players. Cornerback Terrion Arnold is dealing with a concussion, which is always concerning given the nature of head injury and the league's strict protocols. Safety Kirby Joseph has a knee issue that kept him sidelined from the walkthrough. On the offensive line, we've got Taylor Decker nursing a shoulder problem and Penei Sewell managing an ankle situation. These are massive names, foundational pieces of our roster, and seeing them all listed as non-participants naturally raises some eyebrows. But here's where it gets interesting, and this is where I need you to pay very close attention, because the 5th name on the non-participation list is the one that's generating the most conversation among Lions faithful right now. Brian Branch, our dynamic safety, who has been an absolute game changer for this defense, was listed as a non-participant due to a toe injury. Now, when I first saw Branch's name on that report, I'll be honest with you, my heart sank a little. This is a player who has been phenomenal for us this season, a guy who brings energy, playmaking ability, and that physical presence we need in our secondary. The thought of potentially being without Branch for any extended period is not something any Lions fan wants to contemplate. But then Coach Campbell addressed the media, and what he said about Branch specifically is what I want to break down for you because it's crucial information. Campbell was very deliberate in how he discussed the injury situation, particularly regarding Branch and Arnold. He explained that because they were conducting a walkthrough rather than a full practice, the designations were essentially estimations of what would have happened if they had been on the grass. He said, and I'm paraphrasing here, that had they gone full speed, they probably would have held these guys back. But the key phrase he used when talking about Branch was that he feels okay about the situation. In fact, Campbell went even further, saying he thinks they're going to be okay with Branch and that he feels a lot better about his status. Those are the words of a head coach who has inside information, who has talked to the medical staff, who understands the severity or lack thereof of the injury. Now, contrast that with how Campbell discussed Terrion Arnold, who he described as day-to-day. There's a clear difference in the level of confidence Campbell expressed between these two situations. With Arnold dealing with a concussion, the uncertainty is understandable because you're at the mercy of the protocol and how the player responds. But with Branch, the tone was noticeably more positive, more assured, more confident that this toe issue isn't going to keep him sidelined for long. This is exactly the kind of news we needed to hear as we look ahead to our upcoming matchup. Let me put this into perspective for you. Brian Branch has been a revelation for this Lions defense. His versatility, his ability to play both in the box and in coverage, his nose for the football, all these attributes make him irreplaceable in our defensive scheme. When Branch is on the field, opposing offenses have to account for him on every single play. He's the type of player who can change a game with one play. Whether it's a perfectly timed blitz, a pass breakup, or a bone-crushing hit that sets the tone. The thought of losing that presence, even for one game, would have been a significant blow to our defensive capabilities. But based on Campbell's comments, it sounds like we're going to have Branch available, and that's massive for our playoff aspiration. Now, let's not ignore the rest of the injury report, because there's important information there as well. The Lions had 8 players listed as limited participants in the walkthrough. Edge defender Marcus Davenport is dealing with a shoulder issue. Center Graham Glasgow has a knee problem. Edge defender Josh Paschal has a back situation. Offensive guard Tate Ratledge is managing a knee injury. Cornerback DJ Reed has a hamstring concern. Wide receiver Isaac Tesla is dealing with an oblique issue. Running back Sean Vaki has an ankle problem. And tight end Brock Wright is also managing an ankle injury. That's a long list of guys who are somewhat compromised, and it speaks to the physical nature of this point in the season. Campbell specifically mentioned DJ Reed when discussing the limited participants, saying he's hopeful they could get Reed back this week. But a lot will be determined during the full-speed practices on Thursday and Friday. This is a smart approach by the coaching staff. They're being cautious with the walkthrough, getting a sense of where everyone is at, and then they'll really test these guys when they ramp up the intensity later in the week. Reed's return will be another boost for the secondary, giving us additional depth and experience at a critical position. Here's something that should make every Lions fan smile. There were 4 players who were listed as full participants despite dealing with injuries. Offensive lineman Miles Frazier with a knee issue, wide receiver Caleb Raymond, who was dealing with cramping, linebacker Malcolm Rodriguez with a knee problem, and running back Jacob Saylors managing a back situation. All 4 of these guys were full go, which tells me they're healthy, they're ready, and they're available for game day. Having that kind of depth and availability is crucial as we push toward the postseason. Let's talk about what all of this means for our game plan and our chances moving forward. The fact that Branch appears to be trending in the right direction is absolutely huge. Our defense has been one of the strengths of this team all season long, and maintaining that level of play requires having our best players on the field. Branch's presence allows our defensive coordinator to be creative, to dial up pressure, to play different coverages, and to keep opposing quarterbacks guessing. Without him, we have to adjust our scheme, potentially simplify things. And that's not ideal when you're facing high-powered offenses. The offensive line situation with Decker and Sewell is worth monitoring closely. These are 2 of the best tackles in the entire NFL, and they're the foundation of our offensive success. The fact that they were held out of the walkthrough is concerning on the surface, but remember, this was an estimated report based on a walkthrough. We'll get much better information when the full practice reports come out Thursday and Friday. My gut tells me that the coaching staff is being extra cautious with these guys, making sure they're fully healthy before ramping them up to full speed. That's smart management of valuable assets. Arnold's concussion situation is the one that carries the most uncertainty. Concussions are tricky because every player responds differently and you can't rush the protocol. The fact that Campbell described him as day-to-day suggests there's still some evaluation that needs to happen. We'll be monitoring his progress closely throughout the week, and hopefully he can clear protocol in time to suit up. If not, we've got depth at cornerback that can step up. But there's no question that Arnold's absence will be felt. What I love about how this coaching staff handles injuries is the transparency combined with the cautious optimism. Campbell doesn't sugarcoat things, but he also doesn't create unnecessary panic. When he says he feels good about Branch, I believe him. When he says Arnold is day-to-day, I trust that they're doing everything possible to get him ready. This organization has built a culture of toughness and resilience, and that extends to how they manage player health and availability. As we look ahead to the rest of the week, Thursday's practice is going to be absolutely critical. That's when we'll see guys running at full speed, testing their injuries in real game-like conditions. The practice report that comes out, Thursday afternoon will give us a much clearer picture of who's truly available and who might be questionable for game day. But based on everything I'm hearing, based on Campbell's comments, and based on the overall tone coming out of Allen Park, I'm feeling confident about where we stand. The bottom line is this: Brian Branch's toe injury appears to be something the team can manage, and all indications point toward him being available for our next game. That's the headline, that's the takeaway, and that's the news that should have every Lions fan breathing a sigh of relief. Our defense needs Branch on the field, and it looks like we're going to have him. Combined with the positive news about several other players being full participants, I'd say the injury situation, while lengthy, isn't as dire as it might have appeared at first glance. So Lions Nation, what do you think about all of this? Are you as encouraged as I am by Coach Campbell's comments about Brian Branch? How concerned are you about Terrion Arnold's concussion situation? And what about the offensive line with Decker and Sewell managing their injuries? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because I want to hear from you. This community is what makes covering this team so special, and your insights and perspectives always add value to these discussions. If you found this breakdown helpful, if you appreciated getting the inside scoop on what's happening with our Lions, do me a favor and smash that like button. Subscribe to Lions News Fan Report if you haven't already, because this is where you'll get the fastest update, the most detailed analysis, and all the breaking news about our team. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a video, especially during this crucial stretch of the season when every injury update, every roster move, and every game matters more than ever. Share this video with your fellow Lions fans because information this important needs to be spread throughout the entire Pride. I'll be back with more updates as soon as that Thursday practice report drops, so stay locked in. One Pride. Let's go. Lions!